Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to syllabicate 3 words together, okay? The first word we're gonna do together, I'll do it with you, and then the other 2 words, I'll give you directions and I'll help you through them, okay? Okay, so our first word here, it doesn't matter what the word says. I don't want you to read the word, even if you can, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to underline our vowels. So we would start by underlining the A and the E. Can you go ahead and underline the A and the E in this word for us? Good. And now underneath the A and the E, we're going to label them a V for vowel. Good. And now we're going to draw a little bridge in between our 2 vowels. Good. Now, in between our 2 vowels, we have 1 letter, and that letter is a consonant. So underneath that letter, we're going to label that with a C for consonant. Good. And now, what pattern do we see here?
VCV.
It's a VCV vowel pattern. Good job. Okay, so now we know that there are 2 ways we can divide a VCV pattern. What we're going to do is we are going to start by trying it the first way first, and we'll see if that works. So this is the first way. This is one way that we could do this. We could divide it in between our vowel, our first vowel, and our consonant, okay? And if we did that, this would then be an open syllable, okay? And then we have here, this would be a closed syllable. Now, if we divided this word up between our first vowel and our consonant, this first syllable would say what?
Ta.
Okay, now remember this makes the long vowel sound, so this would say a like apple. So this would say ta, and our second syllable would say what?
Lent.
Talent. Now, does talent sound like a word that you're familiar with?
Talent.
Okay, so maybe if we try dividing it in between our consonant and our second vowel, right, it might sound a little bit different. And my pencil. Okay, so we could also try dividing it in between our second vowel and our consonant. That would change this first syllable to a closed syllable. And then our second syllable would still be closed. This would then make the short vowel sound. So it would say aw, like ball. What would our first syllable say then?
Tall.
Tall. And our second syllable would say what?
Ent.
Tall ent. Now is tal ent or tall ent? Which one sounds like a word you're more familiar with hearing?
Talent.
Talent. Very good. So what we're going to do is we're going to erase our second way, and we will actually leave our first syllable open and our second syllable will be closed, and we'll divide this word between our first vowel and the consonant. Okay? Okay, so let's go ahead and turn this paper over because I've got another word for you to try, okay? So our word here has 2 vowels in it. I'd like for you to go ahead and underline those 2 vowels. Good, and label them V for vowel. And then draw your bridge. And we have 1 consonant. Good, C for consonant. Now, remember we have a VCV pattern again. So one of the ways, the first way we can try to divide this is in between our first vowel and consonant. Why don't we go ahead and draw a line in between them? Good. So our first syllable would then be open or closed?
Open.
Good. Go ahead and label that. And our second syllable would then be
Closed.
Good. Go ahead and label that. Now, what would our first syllable say?
B.
And our second syllable would say?
Gan.
And together, what would that word be?
Began.
Began. Is that a word that you recognize?
Yes.
Good. So we would leave this. We probably don't even need to try the second way to divide that because we know began is a word that we use. Okay? So let's look at this last word together. Again, we have our two vowels. Go ahead and underline those and label them V for vowel. And draw your bridge. And then we have, good, C for consonant. What's our pattern again that we're looking at?
VCV.
VCV. Let's try to divide it in between the first vowel and the consonant. Good. Now our first syllable would now be what?
Me.
Me. But if this is open and this one is open, me, new, or me, na, umbrella. Does me, na sound like a word that we know?
No.
No, that doesn't sound like a word we're familiar with. So let's go ahead and try to divide it between the syllable and the second vowel. Good. Now let's label the type of syllables we have. If this would be our first syllable, what kind of syllable is that?
Closed.
Good. So go ahead and label it CL for closed. And then this on the end would be what kind of syllable?
Open.
And label it OP for open. Now what would our first syllable then say?
Men.
And our last syllable would say its name.
You.
So together, what would those two syllables say?
Menu.
Menu. Do you know what a menu is? Yes, very good. Okay, so with this one, we would divide this between our consonant and our second vowel and get the word menu. Very good job.